Welcome to your September State of the Industry. We are back on track. I know last month we were off a week, but we're back on track with our regularly scheduled program. So if you are here, thank you for being here. If you're watching this as a recording, thank you for catching up on what you missed. I am Katie Hardman. I am the Chief Opportunity Officer for the Experience Brokerage Network, also the team leader of Keller Williams Sunset Corridor and Keller Williams Capital City. And I'm joined by my co-host, Leslie.
Oh, I'm Leslie Hilbert. I'm the general manager of the amazing Experience Brokerage Network, which of course encompasses all four of our Keller Williams market centers here in Oregon. I say here in Oregon as I'm sitting in Mexico, but I couldn't miss a state of the industry, Katie. So I'm zooming in internationally to join you guys today. So for those of you who are regulars on State of the Industry, sorry for the reintroduction, but Katie, we do it every month because we're always welcoming new people.
We are always welcoming new people. So if you are new to the Experience Brokerage Network, hi, welcome. We're glad you're here. Virtual hug. You've got a lot of friends here. So thank you for being here. So today what we're going to do is we actually have a lot of announcements. So I'm going to roll through some things that are going on in our network, some things that I want to impart to you, and also upcoming events. And then we're going to get into a really fun interview with a really amazing agent. So let's get started. It's Realtor Safety Month. Did anybody know that? It's Realtor Safety Month. I mean, if you're in Sunset or Capital City, you know, because I talked about it at the team meetings. But I wanted to share with everybody, actually the National Association of Realtors does a really good job with this, and they put out a safety tips. So I am going to share some of the tips with you guys today. I'm also going to share this in the recap just because I think they're really good tips. Some we know and we practice every single day, and some we're kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot that. But I would also love to hear from you. Put in the chat like something that you implement in your business as a safety tip in order to feel safe, to be safe, to create safety for you and your clients. I would love to hear and share with everybody, like, what are some of those things? This book or this guide says, like, show properties before dark. But if you have to show after dark, like turn on all the lights and open all the shades, like hot tip. When you're meeting with a new client, get a photocopy of their driver's license. When showing a home, always have your prospect walk in front of you. Don't drive clients in your car. I thought this was an interesting one. When you're showing commercial property, thick walls and or remote locations may interfere with mobile phone reception. Be sure to check the cell service of the property before showing it. Just bought a new entertainment system. A bunch of empty boxes out by the curb triggers an alarm to would-be thieves. Instead of putting boxes out in plain sight, cut them down and stuff them in your trash can. I mean, there's 52 of these, so I'm not going to read all of them, but these were just some of the ones that like got me thinking about, like, oh yeah, like we should be thinking about this. To best prepare for an emergency, pre-program important numbers in your cell phone. These may include your office, your roadside assistance service or garage, and 911. Although I can only speak for iPhone users. Like, can't you just like push the side button and then an emergency calls for you? So you may not need to program 911. When somebody brought up a really good point yesterday, if your iPhone has your location as somewhere other than where you live currently, it may dispatch to your non-current location. So hot tip there. I like this one. Don't use the V word. Does anybody know what the V word is? No? Vacant. It says when describing a listing, never say that a property is vacant. This may be an invasion to criminals or squatters. And then also avoid public Wi-Fi. It puts you at higher risk of hackers accessing your data. Be careful not to overshare on social media where your location is, how long you'll be there, if you're alone. So we're going to share this with you as part of Realtor Safety Month, but just wanted to give you some hot tips on ways to be safe. I love that, Kristin. Always meet your new buyers at the office for a buyer consultation, never at the house. Back your car into the driveway of the home, or don't park in the driveway, because then you can't be blocked in. Trust your gut and always tell someone where you are. Share your location. Find my friends is amazing. Only carry mace, a weapon, if you are 100% sure you'd use it. Yeah, tell someone where you are. I love that. These are great hot tips. Thank you guys for sharing. A couple other things around safety that I just wanted to share with you guys. The orange file protocol. If you've been with Keller Williams for an extended period of time, you're used to this. If you're new to Keller Williams, this is something that all of our offices participate in and know about. So step one is we highly encourage Forewarn. It's an app that you can use, and actually I'll talk about that in the next slide because I have some details on that. Number two is have situational awareness. What is situational awareness? How would you describe that?
And not to have your phone in your face, to be looking around yourself.
Yeah, be aware of your surroundings. I love that. Thank you, Tammy Sue. Thank you, Valerie. Exit points. Have situational awareness. And then 3, if you feel you are in an unsafe situation, you can always call the office, or if it's after hours or on the weekends, text or call someone on Market Center leadership and ask for the orange file. That could be something like, hey, I'm at 123 Main Street and I left the orange file on my desk. Could you go and get it? Or could you look in the orange file for the HOA dues? And that alerts anybody in leadership that you need assistance, and we will immediately dispatch the police to your location. So that's just a safe word that you can use in order to be safe in your location if you need one of us. So and then we will stay on the line with you until somebody arrives. But just a good way to be safe. I love that, Ray. Walk each property 30 minutes beforehand and secure your exit points. Yep. An additional safety feature is Forewarn. So this is something that you have through the Experience Brokerage Network at an extreme discount, actually. Forewarn is a program or a platform that instantly verifies identity, criminal history, property and vehicle ownership, financial data, additional phone numbers, if someone's had additional numbers, and every location where they have registered an address. So prior homes, prior locations. So how it works, like if you were to receive a phone call, you can on the phone, pull up the app and put in the name of the person or the phone number, and it'll bring up all the data, all their criminal history, all their property and vehicle ownership, any of their previous addresses. So you can just make sure they're legit. And they are who they say they are, especially if you feel a little creeped out or you're going to meet somebody you've never met before. In order to sign up for this app, you can scan this QR code and it will send me an email and you and I can chat about getting signed up. It's $12 a month, or you can prepay for the year. But it's just an excellent tool for safety and peace of mind. So a lot of agents use this. Okay, moving on. I want to share a couple things that's going on with some of our power partners. So you guys know that we are partners with Michael Lewis Marketing Suite for all of our marketing needs. And they recently launched a new product. It's $125 to have this list to close marketing package. So if you're looking for a robust marketing package for your listings, it comes with a for sale flyer, an open house flyer, a just listed postcard, a just sold postcard, a 10 by 10 just listed image for social media, a just sold image for social media, an 11 by 17 brochure, a digital magazine, a just listed, just sold 10 by 10. I gotta move. Posted on your social media, a command property landing page, a lead capture open house QR code, and a CRM ready email embedded with your for sale flyer that's hyperlinked to your online digital brochure. So really cool tool for fairly inexpensive that you can go on our website, and we'll post all of this in the recap email. But I just want you guys to know that this is an easy marketing solution, like was it Home Office Depot or something that had the easy button? Well, that was easy. This would be the easy button if you need a marketing solution. Also, if you joined us last month for our State of the Industry, you heard about our newest partnership, which is with Area Pro. And this is a program that is eventually going to replace our TMO reports. So if you use TMO reports, get to know Area Pro, because it's going to be the new, the better, the new and improved system for that. And the cool part is with TMOs, it's a static PDF. You get what you get. The numbers are the numbers. With this, you can go in and change your parameters. You can look at different areas. You can add different areas. You can change the time frame which you're looking. You can customize the data that's sent to you. You can print your own PDFs and take them with you on appointments. So this is definitely a new and improved partnership for us that we're excited about. And the reason I'm bringing it up is, one, you should have all received an email with a link to activate your account. If you did not receive that email, reach out to leadership and let us know. We can tell you which email it was sent to and figure out how to find it. We actually have a Loom video that we're going to share with you on like how to search your email for the correct title and how to find the email. And why that's important is because our first training with Area Pro is happening tomorrow. So we are doing 2 exclusive training sessions with Area Pro. So tomorrow at noon is going to be how to use Area Pro. So you'll want to make sure you activate your account prior to coming to that training tomorrow. And then next Thursday, the 19th at noon, we're going to talk about how to integrate Area Pro into your day-to-day business. So you'll definitely want to make sure you have it set up for that, so you can talk about best practices and how to use the tool and incorporate it into your business. And then Area Pro does a non-exclusive training for all of their customers every Wednesday. So for if some reason you can't make our trainings, you could always tune into one of those, but these are specific for you. So I hope that you can attend. Okay, I'm going to continue to roll with announcements. Open house extravaganza. I know that there's been a lot of talk about this locally, but I just want to talk about it from a network level. Save the date, plan on hosting an open house. Just whether you have a listing, whether you don't have a listing, just mark off Sunday, September 29th as open house day and know that you are going to participate. So this is our 3rd time doing this event, and every time we get a little bit better and a little bit bigger. The cool thing about this one is every Keller Williams in the state of Oregon is participating. So the goal and what we are going to say is we are holding open every Keller Williams listing in the state of Oregon. We also have Vancouver participating, so Southern Washington as well. But it's going to be an awesome event. So what to know, what to prepare for. Your principal broker team will be reaching out to you in the next week or so, asking, 1, if you have a listing and is it going to participate, or 2, do you not have a listing, but you want to participate, so that we can start to match you with listings that need a person, need a human, need an agent. So at this time, mark your calendars, make sure you're looking for your email or looking at your email for that to come from your principal broker team, and then let us know as soon as possible so that we can play matchmaker and get you the perfect listing and get all of the marketing. We will have flyers, we will have a website, we'll have QR codes, we'll have a mobile app. There will be a lot of marketing and cool things around this. So you'll want to participate, and it's a great way to have a conversation with sellers who may be on the fence about, like, you want to have your listing before the open house extravaganza so you can participate in this event. Okay, one more thing. Business planning clinic. So this is probably our most asked for class of the year. So, and we're bringing it 3 times in 3 locations for this year. So November 5th in Medford, November 6th in Eugene, and November 7th in Portland Metro. We will be bringing Rebecca Del Pozo to teach and workshop the business planning clinic. What's really cool about this, and Rebecca, is she's Keller Williams University master faculty, and she actually was part of the rewrite of the business planning clinic. So she is bringing updated material for 2024 to share with you and to help you make a better plan for 2025. So we will have links to sign up for this out very, very soon, but I just want to put it on your radar. Again, mark your calendar, mark the day, because it will be a whole day class, or maybe not quite a whole day, but it'll be a couple hours. So just mark the day in the location that speaks best to you, and we will get you more information. So very exciting. Okay, I'm gonna check the chat. Just make sure, is there anything? Oh, okay, thank you, Leslie, for getting information there. Okay, cool. So now, well, I know you guys are all really here, is to hear from the one. Oh, I see someone has a question. Ray, you raised your hand. Did you have a question?
Yeah, is Area Pro going to be recorded tomorrow? Because I do have a Realtors Association class I have to attend from noon to 2.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, we can record it.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Okay, so let's dive in. And the reason that we're bringing this special guest on, one, because she's very knowledgeable about the market, but also because she's the #1 individual agent by closed units in the Northwest region. Leslie, I see your spirit fingers. August numbers aren't out yet, so I can't, that's why we're looking at July's, but when we did our state of the industry last month, I said, oh my goodness, next month we have to have Kristin because she's doing something right, guys. And we all need to learn from her. So Kristin, I know you're here. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi.
Hi. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so we can actually look at your real face, not your picture face.
Yeah, that picture is awful. It is time for a new headshot. You all can make fun of me. I make fun of all the other old ladies with their old headshots. I'll get a new one.
I'm the same way. At some point I was just like, nah, I like the old one better.
Oh,
But maybe that says how long we've been in the business. So we won't talk about that. So Kristin, #1 solo agent in the Northwest region, which is Alaska, Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. #1 solo agent. What are you doing to stay relevant and succeed in today's market?
what am I doing? You know, honestly, sometimes I feel like a broken record when you guys have me on, because I really, truly, in my 21 years, I do the same thing every month. And I want everyone to know that July, while that was fantastic and phenomenal, I only had 2 closings in June. So I don't want everyone to think, okay, you know, what's the magic sauce? The magic sauce is just putting in the effort and doing the same thing. And even if you have a slow month, don't just give up on that. It's what you do repeatedly over time that makes the difference.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast. If anybody listens to the MREA podcast, the episode this week, the guy, his lead gen lever is internet leads. And what he's doing now is actually, he said, you have to commit to doing this for the long term, because if you're looking for instant success, you'll give up too soon. Like you have to just commit that like what you're doing now is going to pay you in 25 and 26. So there's something to be said about that. Like the long game is going to pay off if you stay consistent.
Absolutely.
So #1,
What do I do?
going from 2 listings or 2 closings to #1, like what kind of a roller coaster, maybe emotionally. What actions do you take, or what do you do when you're like, oh shoot, like my pipeline is small and I have these big goals? Like what's your mindset? What are your actions when that happens?
You know, I thought about this question because, of course, my immediate answer to you was I don't do anything different. If you just keep doing what you're doing, that'll work. But then I got to thinking about, I'm like, okay, what do I do? And if I'm really slow, I go through I have the file folder. Yeah, I have paper still. And I look at, you know, listing the RMLS printouts of people that maybe hit me up 3 months ago, 4 months ago. And I'll look at that and say, oh gosh, maybe I should follow up with those people. Or, like right now, my pipeline's small. I'm like, okay, what do I do? So then I'm looking ahead at the events for the fall. Who do we need to really target for getting to the events? And I don't I know, shoot me down, but I don't make phone calls warm or cold to my sphere. I don't even text people. I'm like people phobic of, I have this huge fear of rejection. And so I just really, look at what's happening and how do I get in front of those people if that's what I need to be doing? And just reaching out once in a while. My lender's really good about that too. He's like, hey, let's just check in quarterly for the people that reached out, 3 months ago and we haven't heard from. And sometimes it pans out and sometimes it doesn't.
So are you calling people or not calling people that are theoretically like A, buyers or sellers, or is it like past clients?
Just anybody. This last time around, I looked at, so most, I'd say 99% of our transactions, when it's over, I ask the client to give me a review on Google or Zillow. And, sometimes people, the timing of when you ask them, if they're in the middle of moving, it's a terrible time to ask them because they're focused on themselves. While you think they think are still thinking about you, they're not, right? And so I'll give them a week or two or a month and be like, hey, remember we talked about doing this? Do you have time now? And so like last week when I was slow, I went back and looked at my last, 2 or 3 months quarterly really of transactions, said, oh, wait a minute, we didn't get a review from these 10 people. So I went back and emailed them and said, hey, just a reminder, I would be so grateful if you gave that review now. And so, the interesting thing about that is the last, since September, whatever that was, September 3rd, the day after Labor Day, my phone and my email have been really actually quite busy. So my mom asked me last night, are you busy? I'm like, I'm doing the busy before the busy, where you don't have the listings on yet. You don't have the buyers in the car yet, but you're doing all of the things that leads up to that, which sometimes I feel like is busier than the actual busy time. But it's a lot of my calls in the last 2 weeks have been people who found me, they just Googled realtor and I popped up because of my reviews on Google. So I would encourage all of you, if you haven't done that yet, or if you think, oh, I'm too embarrassed to go back and ask somebody that I worked with 3 years ago for a review, it's never too late, because the calls I'm getting right now, they're calling me, right? It's almost like the reverse cold call. It's kind of cool because it's just to come list me or, come in and let's do the buyer consult. So always go back and ask for that review. It's so critical.
Yeah, I love that. Kristin, you mentioned getting clients off of Google. Where else do you get your business? Like, what are your main lead sources?
I am primarily repeat sphere business. So that is, I would say 85% of my business is past clients and then sphere. And so that is truly just old school, a postcard. I used to do a postcard religiously every month, and I have kind of fallen off the wagon of that. I need to get back on it. I always joke that a postcard, you have from the distance from the mailbox to the recycle bin, and you really, if there's a couple, you only get one. Like my husband never sees anything out of the mailbox. So you have to remember that, yes, email is helpful. I'm really bad about emailing. When I send out a MailChimp, or actually my assistant sends out a MailChimp, I'm always like, okay, check the rejected, who unsubscribed from us. And I like cry in the corner for a little bit and wonder why. But at least with that, and we use those for our events, you are hitting both of the couples at that point because you've got both of their email addresses. But really it's just staying in front of people and being there when they need you.
Yeah, I love that. When we talk about navigating in today's market, like the market has shifted a little bit, or what we have to do as agents has shifted. So what is your unique value proposition for your clients now? And how are you articulating that?
I would say my value proposition has never changed. My goal when I work with someone is to make them feel like they are my only client. And so when they call, I answer. When they text, I get back to them immediately. I've got a fairly grumpy client right now. Thankfully, some of our clients sadly have an expiration date. So I'm really looking forward to closing with this person. But as much as the husband's frustrating and a grumpy gentleman, the wife said, oh my gosh, she always gets back to us right away. And we kind of had a sticky situation with another agent. And, just making them feel like they are top of mind, because you have to remember, this is probably the most stressful time in their lives. They're either leaving a home they love, or they're going somewhere they don't want to be, or they're super excited, but it is overwhelming. I don't know when the last time you guys ever packed and moved, but there's so much that goes into it. So we need to be that, stable pillar for them that they can count on during that time. And so that's my, my value proposition is my job is to make it as little stressful as, or, take that stress out. This emotional roller coaster, I'm there with you, I'm on the ride with you, but my job is to try and smooth out those bumps.
And do you
That never
say that?
changes.
Do you
Oh
say
yeah, that's part of my script. Yeah.
Okay. You tell them up front, like communicate, like here's how I'm going to communicate. Here's like what you can expect from me.
Absolutely. Communication is key, right? I tend to over communicate. I'm working with a new client right now that she has her house sale with another agent, and she was pretty unhappy with that agent. And she said to her friend, hey, I just need someone else with the buy side. And so she's been articulating to me, since now she's working with 2 different agents at the same time. I didn't love what she was doing before, but now what I see what you do, and it's making this other agent look even worse, because I communicate like in transaction, you get a Friday update from us every Friday that says, here's the recap of the week, what happened, bullet points, here's what's coming up next week. And there's always the table of where we're at. So really trying to make sure it's what we do is kind of herding cats, right? To be honest, we're keeping the lender on track. We're making sure title's doing what they need to do. We're making sure the other agent's doing what they need to do, and communicating that to the client so they know you're working and they know what you're doing. If you just, pop in once in a while, you have to show your value. And especially in this day and age when our compensation is under the microscope, what are you doing for that money? You need to show it more than ever. And so we are constantly over communicating.
And I think I share your phone phobia. So question, how are you communicating? Like you said, a Friday email, like what form of communication are you using to keep your clients in the know?
Honestly, primarily text and email. There's always just a lot of emails. Plus then, frankly, you always have documentation of, well, we did talk about that. Here it was. So email is truly better if you're really going through something pretty serious, or, terms or something like that. Instant updates, those are via text. And I love to pepper the text with emojis and, funny memes and videos, because you've got to keep it, or I do anyway. I try to keep it fun and lighten it up a little bit so they, that kind of thing. I'm not as good about phone calls, to be honest.
Well, it sounds like you're actually getting referrals based on your communication. So phone calls, if that's not your thing, like, it's okay. It's working for you.
Yeah, plus I'm kind of I don't know if I'd say a hothead, but I can think through what I need to say better in email. And if you're on the phone, like last night, my husband's like, why don't you just call that guy? And I'm like, no, because I cannot trust myself. I might say something bad. I might get emotional, angry. Whereas if an email, I can think about it and do the right thing.
Yeah, it allows you to upkeep like that level of professionalism. I like that. That's a hot tip. So you've been selling real estate for many years. How have things changed, and what have you adapted in your business to continue to succeed, to be the #1 agent in the Northwest region?
I think in today's age, I mean, when I first started, seriously, guys, it was still carbon copies, and we had to go to the client's house at 9 o'clock at night to get a signature. And so as much as I love DocuSign, every time I use it, I give a little shout out, thank you to whoever invented that. It is the best thing ever, but it removes the human element from real estate, and we have to keep the human element in front of them. And so, with my listings, I'm there for every staging, really remembering who we are. And I think that's super important. So I think some agents try to automate too much stuff. I mean, title companies love them, but they just automate way too much stuff. Don't ever go through the motions. Don't think of it as just another transaction. Each person and transaction is unique, and they need to feel that. And if you're just sending out the auto, reply, it doesn't feel authentic.
That's interesting, because so much technology has come into our industry that you could automate a lot. And so how do you create systems but not automate? Like, how do you create systems that allow you to be personable but not automate them? If that makes sense.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm pretty old school in that I have, a bajillion spreadsheets and templates, and we work a lot off templates. And it's like, every transaction, you're going to have this set of dates that you work with and these set of instructions. And you start with that because that doesn't change, but then you modify each line and say, does that apply to this transaction? And, something as simple as, When we put a home in escrow, our client within 24 hours gets an email called Next Steps. And that says, hey, here's the full zip file of all the documents. Here is a table of all the important upcoming dates. And when the home inspection happens, reminder, you have to have double strapping on your hot water heater, and please clear out your, attic access. All of those things never change. And so they don't know that. And sometimes I think even myself, we can get kind of in a rut because we say the same thing over and over and over. And then something happens, you think, oh man, I kind of forgot about that. And then you remind yourself that they don't do this every day. And even things like talking about title. Well, we say title. They don't know what title means. You need to say the title and escrow company or the escrow officer. Don't shortchange and use our, shortcuts or acronyms or whatever. Remember that they don't do this every day. Take the time to explain it to them.
Yeah, I think that's a hot tip. Like, we forget what we know, but also we probably I get tired of saying the same thing all the time. So I want to change it up for my sake, but that's not doing a service to your client because they haven't heard it before. So just get used to like hearing yourself say the same thing over and over again, because that's actually where you're providing value to your client.
Absolutely.
I love that. So what is your mind, going back to like navigating today's market, what is your mindset navigating all the current changes? And like, what strategies, scripts, or best practices have you adopted?
Because I'm on the state forms committee, I did start doing the buyer rep agreement back in May when it came out, ahead of the August curve. And I haven't had anybody say, no, I'm not going to sign it. I explain it ahead of time. I go into a buyer consult, again, the old school with paper. I go in with like, little white folder. Every form we give them is printed out on paper so they can take it home, read it at their leisure. And then, thank you, Jordan, and then go back and DocuSign it with them. And I just simply explain that, my service to you is valuable, and I'm most likely the seller is still going to pay my compensation. It's going to look a little different. There's different verbiage associated with it. And if for some reason they're not willing to pay it, we're going to ask them to pay it. We may need to adjust the sales price for it, or we may need to move on to the next house. But I'm here to work for you. That's for the buyer side. On the seller side, I think I said this in the last panel I was on, but I think at the beginning of the change, I went way too deep into the history of how commission works. And now I'm a lot briefer with it. And I just say, look, it's very similar. Again, it's just semantics. It's compensation instead of concession. And, everybody keeps saying, well, it was always negotiable. Absolutely. Commission was always negotiable, but I don't remember anyone ever saying, oh, by the way, the buyer's agent can get this. We never had that conversation. So sometimes I get a little bit frustrated with agents simplifying it. But at the end of the day, all my sellers know that they're going to be giving a seller concession. I haven't, and quite honestly, I haven't run up against anybody yet that said, no, I don't want to. So I don't know what I would say in that scenario. Am I going to get up and walk out? I don't know. We'll get to it when it comes, but I'm pretty fortunate that my clientele is very sensible and understands the way it's worked. We've got to help that poor buyer. The buyers don't have the money to pay their agent, right? That especially first-time home buyers, every penny is going to their down payment and their closing costs. So let's make sure that that's going to work for them.
Yeah, I love that. I was there when you did that panel, and I remember you saying that it may have taken you 20 minutes to explain it before, but now you're like, it's more like 5 to 10. So like you were overthinking it, not necessarily like the client wasn't understanding. Like we were just too much at that point.
Yeah, well, because it's a change for all of us, right? It's new for everybody.
Yeah. So I guess words of encouragement, if you are taking a long time to explain that, maybe that's you will get shorter, like you will figure out that maybe you don't need to say so many words, or there's not so much misunderstanding around it. The clients just need to know it's semantics, it's different words. And I think in that same panel, we talked about that Keller Williams had interviewed or polled like 3,000 agents and said, of the buyers that you're meeting with, how many of them are willing to to pay some sort of compensation, and it was like 97% and like 80% on the seller's side. So again, like maybe this is something we've worked up in our heads, and truly like clients are, for the most part, willing to pay some type of compensation. So I love that. So, okay, that's what has changed. What hasn't changed for you?
You know, it's interesting. With August, I felt, and I don't know how you guys all felt, but I felt like August was very slow. But August traditionally before 2018 was always a slower month. And so my 2 listings I had on at that time, oh my gosh, you guys, you know, a week could go by and there'd be 1 showing. And it's really hard because they're used to coming off this market of your house is going to get put on the market on a Thursday, sell on a Monday. And so have that communication. I kept telling my 2 listings, I'm like, hang in there, you guys, hang in there. September always picks up. It always picks up. Crazy enough, both of them sold the day after Labor Day. You know, basically first business day of September, they both got offers. And in fact, one got 2 offers, right? And so it's just, it's a normal market. It's a normal market pre-2018. This is how real estate was moving forward. We've got high inventory right now because the homes that they're priced well, they're traditional, they're not quirky, they are selling in the first weekend or the first week. It's anything that's on a busy road or it's quirky or it's overpriced. Those are the ones that are sitting. So our inventory, when I take a buyer out, oh my gosh, you guys, I felt like it was 2017, a couple weekends ago, I had to show like 20 homes in 24 hours. I was losing my marbles. And I said, at the end of the trip, I said, don't get discouraged to my buyer. These are the homes that all the buyers have already rejected. Now you're rejecting them for whatever reason. And I don't want you to think that the right home isn't going to pop up. And literally, you know, 2 days later, the right home popped up and they both got into homes pretty quickly. So just having these conversations with your buyer about waiting for the right home, but then knowing when the right home comes on, you got to move quickly.
Yeah. And again, expectations and conversations, like you have to have that conversation and instead of like letting them fester those emotions in order
Absolutely.
to like show your value and understand the market. I love
You know, and the
that.
funny thing is, one of my listings last month, she is a newly retired realtor. We've both been in the industry 21 years. So she knows what we all know, right? She knows that it's pricing and it's patience and it's this. And now her being a seller, it's like all that went out the window and she's like, well, what do we do? What do we do next? What's the magic sauce? I'm like, come on, you know, there's no magic sauce. So it's interesting to see when you're on the other side of this, you know, other side, how it feels. And it's a good reminder that, especially for her knowing all of them, like, you know what it is, it's time and it's price.
Yeah. Yeah. When you add emotion in there, like all logic goes out the window.
It
So
does. Yeah.
again, like that's your job, our job is to be the logical one and the calm one to help them navigate those emotions. What are you seeing in transactions that we should be addressing? You do a lot of them. What are you seeing? What do you think we should be doing or addressing or doing differently?
You know, I think for me, I was a teacher prior to being a realtor. And so I've never lost that teachable moment kind of thing. And I'm seeing agents write addendums. And let's just talk about like the seller concession addendum. It's new to everybody. You guys, it's literally just like any other addendum out there. So when you receive an offer and there's seller concession addendum 1, because it's got a 1 there, you can have your client, just like the HOA addendum or the rent back addendum, have them sign it. And if you need to counteroffer in your counteroffer and say, see seller concession addendum 2. That's why we put the number spot there. That automatically cancels out addendum 1. Don't just put it away and not having anybody sign it. If you're uncomfortable with having them sign it, use your zip forms or your dot loop or whatever it is you use a text field, put rejected in there and have them sign it. Or if you're uncomfortable with that, have them initial it. You have got to acknowledge it. But you guys, with the seller concessions addendum, each one replaces the former one. So if there's a 2, so for example, I have one that the commission was on the first one, but now twice we've negotiated seller concessions contribution of credit in lieu of repairs. So then the new seller concession addendum has the same compensation or compensation or commission on there, all these C words. And then you add in on the next line, the seller credit to the buyer. So that replaces it, but do address it on that either counter offer or example repair addendum. the other thing I'm seeing, and you can keep going. So you guys on that seller concession, think about the poor title and escrow companies right now. Agents are still trying to write a seller credit in lieu of repairs on just a regular old addendum. Please make sure you keep that on the seller contribution addendum, because that's what title and escrow is using for their bookkeeping of who's getting what money where. So know that it goes on there. If you're writing a repair addendum, credit in lieu of repairs does not go on the repair addendum. It goes on the seller concessions addendum. If you're not using a repair addendum and you're just saying, hey, we're going to do a credit in lieu of repairs, you can do an addendum that says buyer hereby releases inspection contingency, see seller concession addendum 2. If you just write see seller concession addendum 2, I had 2 agents do this recently, one who's been in the business a very long time. I said, you didn't release the inspection contingency. She goes, well, I don't need to do that. The seller's not going to do anything. I said, but do you realize by not releasing the contingency, my buyer can walk away at any time up until the 10th day at 5 p.m. Do you want to put your seller at that risk? So you guys, that's a really important one I'm seeing a lot of lately.
You're getting a couple thank yous in the chat for talking about that. So thank you for bringing that up. I want to open it up. And does anybody have questions for Kristin or comments or things you would like to talk about before I continue? Come on.
What's my favorite breakfast? What do I eat for lunch? Come on. It doesn't have to be all real estate.
What is it? The Jennifer Aniston salad?
Ooh, I have my new salad. I modified it because of the Jennifer Aniston salad. I added quinoa to my everyday salad now. It's riveting info, I know, you guys.
Okay, well then, while you guys are thinking about your questions, I'm gonna ask you this. This wasn't on the question list, Kristin, so sorry, putting you in the hot seat. What are you most excited about right now in the industry?
What am I most excited about? I'm not good thinking on the spot. You know, I love working with buyers. What excites me the most is when a buyer finds the one and you've shown them 5 houses or 2 houses and there's that glint in their eye and I always tell my buyers, if you go to bed thinking about it and you wake up thinking about it, this is the one. And it never gets old seeing someone find the house that they love and just being so excited about it. I love that. And you know, if you don't know, I've had a small team. I've had a buyer's agent, and last few years I've just been by myself again. And I love working with buyers. You know, listings are fun, but once you get it staged and put it on the market, you're not doing a whole lot other than keeping the seller happy. Buyers are just so fun.
Yeah, I think there's something to that when you listen to books or read podcasts, they talk about, maybe it's a little bit of a millennial thing. I don't know, but like when you find what you love, like that's how you've been able to do it. Would you say 21 years? You gotta love your clients or you won't want to call them. You won't want to like implement those systems in order to have good communication, or at least I wouldn't. I would be hiding from them, which is a whole nother book. But anyways, you are getting some thank yous in the chat before we.
I have a question. Yeah.
Suraj, hi.
Hi. Kristin, how would you drum up new business today if you were? You said you're coming from Google reviews. That's the only source I'm getting for new business. What would you do differently if you had to go back and start and add more? Not start, but I want to grow. So what would you do differently to get new clients? Google is more a passive way of lead gen. If you had to choose an active way of lead gen, what would it be?
Well, you know, back when I first started, I did a lot of open houses. I don't do them anymore, but in a forum that I'm in, I recently saw that more and more buyers are going to open houses because they aren't sure about the whole buyer, you know, committing to a buyer's agent. So it seems to me you have more opportunity to meet a buyer at an open house than you ever have before and connect with that person. That's what I would go back to doing.
I've got a question for you too.
Elizabeth, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So what I'm noticing, and I could be wrong, I've lost one buyer on a buyer consult, never happened before. And I think part of it is explaining I call it the buyer representation agreement, maybe going too far deep into it on why it came in. However, my feeling is that, you know how when you go for a listing appointment, sometimes some buyers will go to the same appointment, but cut their commission. right? The listing commission. I'm feeling that now on the buyer side, because when we give that contract, I'm putting 2.5, but I do explain most of the time the seller pays this anyway. And if they don't, I will let you know beforehand, and then we can either move on or you will have to pay the difference between what the seller's paying. They're looking at that number now and assuming they're going to pay that. What is the script you could use?
You know, that's a great question. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what my script is, because I do also put 2.5 on there. Because we cannot take less, or we cannot take more than what we have agreed to. You can always take less. So that is, as everything in real estate is, a negotiation. So keep that in mind, and you may explain that to your buyer. I've not had a buyer say no yet. But I did have a listing that the offer came in with the buyer's agent was only had 2.0 on the seller concession addendum. And my listing, the seller said, oh, we only have to pay 2, but we agreed to X. And I said, you only have to pay 2. So I can see, Elizabeth, where there are buyer's agents out there saying, well, I'll do it for less. And that has always existed, you guys, and all of the time. And Elizabeth, you know this too. There's listing agents out there that were doing it for a lot less. That's always been in the industry. And so it's just a short period of change where this is all it's gonna be messy for a little while until it gets figured out. But I firmly believe that at the end of the day, a year from now, it's gonna be very similar to how it was before. Maybe the compensation or commission may go down a little bit just due to all of the pressures, but that's what you have to decide. And what are you willing, what is your worth? What is your value? And what are you willing to work for?
All right, thanks.
Tom, I see your hand up.
Yeah. Thanks, Kristin. We really appreciate your support and giving us information that is really, I sincerely appreciate that. I'm excited about interest rates dropping. I'm excited about open houses and people coming through the open houses. There's people that are asking questions that didn't ask questions before. This is all opportunities for us to, take advantage of. So, thanks, Kristin. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome, Tom. And now that we share a wall, I don't know if you're gonna be thanking me much, because you know how loud I am.
They are right
Yeah,
next to each other.
You're great.
Just getting some of it, maybe it'll seep through, like,
Little osmosis.
yeah. There are a couple questions in the chat. One, will Kristin be doing any classes? Kristin, would you be willing to do a class?
On what? I can talk to a tree. If you want me to talk about in the class, I can totally do that.
Eleanor, maybe put in the chat what you would like Kristin to teach on, and we'll ask her really nicely. You mentioned you have an assistant. Do you have any other people on your team as a solo agent?
No, I would be crying in a fetal position, and if my assistant left tomorrow, my whole world would end. Leslie's amazing. And truly, I hate to say it, but sometimes I'll run in and drop it and be like, oh my God, help me with this. I got to go to the next thing. Especially these last few weeks, it just feels like I'm in and I'm out. And we're always trying to look to improve, but it's just Leslie and I. She works full time. We joke that we start in the office at 9. We don't start before 9. And, there's a lot of TCs out there that start at 8. And I've just said to people, we start at 9. We're done at 5. It's, obviously agents aren't done, but we put in our hours for sure.
Yeah, I love that. You guys accomplish a lot in those hours. Let's see. Sometimes buyer is just inquisitive to play with the numbers and give an offer below list price. Please advise as a buyer agent, how should I proceed?
Well, I haven't had one of those in a while. And I guess my thing is look, do you want to buy a house, or do you want to, waste people's time? Because it's not fair to me if it's a lowball offer on a house that's been on the market for 60 180 days, man, I'm game for it. Let's do it. But I don't have time for things like that. So you really, in our industry, kind of the cool part is you can say no thank you to clients. Hopefully you figure that out earlier on, because the longer it goes on, then you're like, no, I need to get, I put all this time into it, I want to see this to the finish. But at some point you just got to pull the plug.
Yeah, I love that.
Kristin, Can I ask I'm gonna jump in here. So
Yep.
I had the unique pleasure of sitting with you in your very first bold room in January of 2013. And got to watch like your amazing journey. So you talked about consistency today. You talked about the systems that you put into place. And I kind of say like that's time on task on over time, like success is sequential, not simultaneous. But as you look back over your journey, would you say that there was a moment or a time or a year that like you really can attribute where things came together, right? Where there was like this time of success or a breakthrough moment? Would you be willing to share that, or was it truly just sequential?
I saw this funny meme, something about like my parents gave me work ethic instead of generational wealth. That's me. My mom and dad are super hard workers. And so from day one being in real estate, 2 months before I got my license, I was with John L. Scott for 7 years. They took me to a Brian Buffini convention. Or actually he spoke at their convention and I was hooked. I mean, I'm a Brian Buffiniite from day one. And so I feel bad saying this, but I was runner up for rookie of the year my first year. And so I've been fortunate enough to have success from an early on. Now, you guys, I mean, I struggled through, what was it, you guys, 2008, 2009, 2010, when I was only closing, I think 17 to 18 homes a year. And that's a big change from my first 2004 to 2007, closing anywhere from 24 to 36. So you get through it. And so as you just keep doing the same thing and it works. Don't get distracted by the shiny penny. I don't pay for Zillow. I don't pay for viral marketing. I tried videos over the last year because I have this agent I watch that she does the most amazing videos. They're expensive. They're fun. But I wasn't seeing the return. Now I've watched her stick with it for about a year and a half now. Her trajectory has just gone crazy now. But I'm kind of cheap too. And so I was like, oh my God, $1,000 for another video. And so I've kind of fallen off the wagon. That was maybe my shiny penny. But so no, just keep doing it. People value your hard work, your authenticity. I get that more than anything. My husband will be in the grocery store and they're like, oh my God, you're Rader's husband. And he's like, who are you? Because of social media. And just really being who you are, and people trust you. And then when you say, man, we really need to drop the price 25,000, they trust you and they'll listen to you and they'll do it. And then the house gets sold. There's no aha moment.
I like that meme. My parents either gave me generational wealth or work ethic. That resonates.
Yeah, that's why we made our kids get, jobs. My kids both work. So yeah.
I love that. Okay. Anybody else have questions for the number one agent? I don't know. I just have to keep saying that.
Embarrassing.
It's probably why I keep saying it.
I know. And if it makes you feel any better, I only have 4 in escrow right now. I'm uber competitive. And that's the funny thing. I'm super competitive and I like to look at numbers. But I'm like, I really don't think it makes me do anything different. I think I just do maybe more of what I already do, or just like, okay, shake the tree or the apple's gonna fall.
Where are you located? Mary wants to know where you're located.
I'm in Tanasbourne. I'm looking right over at Macy's in Hillsborough, Beaverton right now, Portland suburb.
Yes, down the hall for me.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to give everybody 5 minutes back. Kristin, thank you. Thank you for coming on and sharing about your business, was also like being very transparent and real. I saw that in the chat. Like, thank you for bringing the human aspect into the business. So we appreciate you. Congrats on being number one. And everybody else, thank you for being here and participating. We hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you next month. Bye, everyone.